Are you applying for CFO jobs, then either getting rejected immediately or getting ghosted, or maybe landing some occasional interviews that never go any further? In this video, I'll break down why this may be happening and give you some practical tips to use to improve your chances of landing the senior finance role you want. First, we'll take an honest look at where you actually sit in the candidate pool and how to gain some clarity about that. Then later, I'll show you a three-phase approach you can use to think about how to strategically go about your career progression to land the CFO role. And to be honest, these tips can be used to plan for going for any leadership role in a number of fields. I'm personally relating to business, finance, and accounting, plus the CFO role. These are my areas of expertise. And stay tuned to the end when I'll give you my secret interview strategy tip that might just get you over the edge. A lot of the tips I bring are things that I didn't know when applying for a CFO role. Some are mistakes or missed opportunities I made, but now looking through the lens of having been a CFO for quite a while and often been on the hiring side of the equation, not just the candidate side. All that has given me some clarity around how I would attack going for a CFO role now. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's David and I've been a CFO for the past 13 years. I love to help the next gen of CFO leaders by making videos about the skills needed to succeed as a CFO and how to put yourself in the position to land the job. If that sounds like you, then subscribe so I can keep bringing you valuable content like this. These are my 5 caveats to help you deal with the emotional journey of applying for higher level jobs. And these caveats exist to help you stay positive, grounded, and ready to just keep moving forward. The first is to recognize it's a numbers game and they're going to get lots of quality applicants. The second is to accept that in some cases, there's already an internal preferred candidate, and sometimes it's almost impossible to come in cold and beat them. And that certainly happened to me several times. Third, understand there'll be multiple people applying that in reality can all do the job. Fourth is accept that part of the selection process is looking for a culture fit, and you'll never be a perfect culture fit for every job you apply for. You'll suit some employers a lot more than others. And fifth, understand that hiring is a subjective process. I've had a couple of times when I had 2 candidates that were a dead heat. I was happy to employ either. So in that situation, how do you decide between the two? Next, let's into a reality check. Here's a few things you need to just make sure that you're on top of. The first one is understanding that the job application process is only the end game and not the point of entry into the competition. The next is to be honest about whether you have a complete lack of experience versus other top candidates. And following that is understanding whether you're an average candidate. So if you're not getting interviews, it may be because you're trying to board the train at the back carriage and the first 2 carriages are already full. You're not going to get through to the front. And there's no point continually trying to catch the train if you're getting on at the back carriage every single time. It just means you're not ready yet. Next is to look at the recruiting process like it's a pro sports tour, like a tennis or pro golf tour. You need to qualify to make the tour before you can even play to win an event. And that could mean playing local circuits and regional competitions to build experience and elevate you to be ready to progress to higher level competition, which might mean starting at smaller organizations first. Next is understanding what makes you a good or attractive candidate. And you have to view yourself through the lens of the employer. So what value can you bring to them? Are you bringing an upside that the last CFO didn't have? Or are you far less experienced and it's going to take some time before you've got a full skill set? How will the employer be able to assess this from what they've seen on paper about you? And lastly, are they taking on any risk in actually selecting you? And these are the areas where you need to be very honest and reflective about so you can then work out where your best chance of success is going to be. So now let's break down the 3 phases to landing a CFO role. And the first phase is concentrating on your baseline skills. To start with, without the fundamental skills, you really have nothing. So you have to have all of that covered for what CFO roles are going to need before you can even qualify. Then you'll have to have technical qualifications and certifications that are going to be needed in the areas of the types of jobs that you're going to be after. And some of them may have higher or lower qualification requirements. So do your homework on what that's going to mean for the types of jobs you're interested in. Employers will be expecting a minimum years of experience for certain jobs, and that could be a prerequisite of either 5 or even up to 10 years experience. And these are the minimum prereqs to even being considered for a role. Otherwise, you're going to be filtered out in the recruiting first phase and they'll never even see your application. But if you're hell-bent on moving very early in your career into a CFO role, then it may need to be at a very small company, or if you have a family business, in that context, you could get into a finance and CFO role sooner. Or maybe because you have some contacts with a startup business and you can get in at the very ground level. But be honest with yourself, that's going to be difficult and you may be better off to try to keep working on the depth of experience you've got first. The second phase is all about positioning yourself. Here we want to show that our career has got direction. And this is the most important phase. It's going to show that you've made strategic career steps, you've got ambition and drive, and you're seeking new challenges and you want to expand your skills. But for some people, this step is going to take the most time. For example, if you've made career missteps, or if you stay in repetitive jobs for too long, maybe you make some sideways moves that don't really show a career intent, or that you take roles with no leadership growth. Or worse, you change focus of where your desired career path is, and it becomes hard for the recruiter to get a clear read on you. On the flip side though, here's how you can optimize this step. The first is to get leadership experience early. And this allows you to work through the kinks of leadership because that's going to take some time as well. Next is going to be taking roles that have genuine responsibility attached to them. Then keep track of your wins that are marketable and where you've added demonstrable value personally into roles in the past. Another tip is to move to successive roles that have increased levels of responsibility, as well as showing a career trajectory that's got steady progress, which is really about just leveling up in your career. So a core part of positioning yourself is making sure you've got demonstrable experience that is over and above the fundamentals. Think about where your competitive advantages are going to be. Do you have any? Do you have a unique mix of skills that perhaps no one else will have? And show that you've got good employment history. You don't want to be a job hopper, and you want to show that you've got strategic promotions that you've been able to achieve on your own merits. Next is to demonstrate leadership experience. You won't be able to get a CFO role without it, so you want to get it, build on it, and keep enhancing the value that you've got in the leadership area. Next, have you got some quality employers on your resume? Don't just have small employers. Look to have some blue chip quality employers on your resume that are going to have some sort of name recognition in the market. And the third phase is sticking the landing. Now, this is purely the recruiting phase. If you've set yourself up as much as possible in the first two phases, then at least now you enter this with the best position you can for yourself, rather than from a position of deficit. Next is to optimize your resume. You need to tailor your resume through to the individual job application that you're going for, and use your network to find opportunities and to get recommendations for roles. But let's bring it back to make sure you're applying for the right jobs at the right time in the right type of business suited for you. But all that will mean nothing if you haven't mastered your interviewing technique and really identifying the best way to market yourself to an employer. But whatever you do, don't go into the interview process and wing it. You should be very prepared, as you're going to be competing against stronger candidates, possibly better fit candidates, ones that have practiced, rehearsed, and that have a strong pitch. And if you've been successful in getting an offer made, then you need to think hard about how you're going to be negotiating your contract and salary level. And really, that's a whole video topic in itself. And I want to leave you with a secret interview strategy tip that I would be using. Always assume the employer has one very safe candidate to choose from other than you. So really, you want to bring in an explicit and strong argument as to why your upside will offer the employer far more value than what that safe candidate could bring, and then give them examples as to in what areas you will do it in. Now, if you're following this type of process that I've outlined to set yourself up for a CFO role, the only other part that is down to you is to stay positive through rejection and adversity. It will happen. And that's going to be a reality for most people. And it was certainly a phase that I went through, and you need to keep pushing past all that. It's not an easy process at all, and you're going to be competing against a strong field. Because if you're not, then you're probably going for jobs that are below where you could be capable of achieving. So keep focused on finding the right entry into a CFO role for you. Be brutally self-critical and self-aware along the way, and don't give up. Let me know your tips on how to successfully approach the recruiting process down below. For the business and finance professionals, I've got tons more content coming designed just for you, starting with this one right here. And hit the subscribe button to join me as I share my CFO experience with you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.